The information in this video will help to explain the K-2 math resources that were developed to support the Standards-Based Progress Report. The K-2 resources include the following: Learning Targets, a document that identifies what is proficient at the end of each trimester aligned to the Stepping Stones program. Math Rubrics, descriptions of student learning at each of the performance levels for all 3 trimesters aligned to the Standards-Based Report Card. And finally, a sequence of learning, a document that identifies learning targets by lessons, common core state standard alignment, and brief notes about the Stepping Stones curriculum. Let's begin with the learning targets. Here's a sample. We're just going to walk through each of the parts to explain what they are and how they were created. On the left-hand side, you will see the topic. In this example, it's counting. You will see the line item that is connected to the Standards-Based Progress Report. Here it's count, tell the number of objects, and compare numbers and objects. For each of the trimesters, it describes what that would look like at the beginning, middle, and end. Just as a notation, the descriptions on the learning targets match the level 3 learning for each trimester, and they are aligned to the Stepping Stones sequence of learning. For example, at the beginning of the year, to be proficient in kindergarten in the area of counting to tell the number of objects, a student would need to count up to 10 objects, saying the number name for each object counted. In the middle of the year, a student would need to count up to 15 objects. By the end of the year, a student would need to count up to 20 objects. Learning targets can be very useful to schools and classroom teachers. They can be shared with parents. They can be useful in planning interventions. They can also be helpful in collecting lessons and activities that would work well with all students for challenging learning targets. It can also help to focus professional development around certain topics or line items, and it can be used to help students to self-assess and plan targets for learning. The next document is the math rubric. On the left-hand side, you will see the topic. In this case, it's called operations. The trimester will tell you what trimester the rubric will be used for. There will be a line item that connects to the Standards-Based Progress Report. In addition, it will note which Common Core state standards are being assessed during that trimester. There will be a description of all of the learning at the different levels and how those are different from each other. And finally, in level 4, the description is usually beyond a level 3, or it can be a description of the learning at the next grade level. In some instances, there is a blank, which means that was not assessed during that trimester. The rubrics were built with an alignment to the Common Core state standards as well as to the learning expectations of Stepping Stones. Rubrics are extremely helpful in helping a teacher for planning and for departments. For example, these rubrics can help in your creation of assessments to show learning. It's a way for you to monitor student learning or progress throughout the trimester, not just at the end. It's a way for teachers to get together to discuss student work in collaboration and plan next steps around a particular standard. And it can also be helpful in differentiating learning and planning interventions based on the different levels in your class. Finally, there is the planning document. You will see the module number, the trimester that it refers to. The lesson number refers to what lesson in Stepping Stones. It describes the Common Core learning standards. It identifies the learning target for that lesson. And it provides some brief notes or information about what students are expected to know and do. All of this information is available in the Stepping Stones, but it's in each individual unit. And so this basically takes all the modules and provides you that information in one document. Sometimes you will see lessons with stars next to them. This means that these lessons were not of the grade level standards or aligned to the Common Core state standards in some instances. These lessons, if you may be skipped, if you don't have enough time to teach all of them, just because the program has a certain amount of days that it is required to teach, and you may need to skip some lessons. And so these would be lessons that are not at the grade level standards, they are not aligned to the Common Core, and could be skipped if you need to make up some additional time or allow for some reteaching of other core concepts. The sequence of learning can be used for planning. It's a way for you to be able to embed assessments, knowing exactly where to place an assessment after certain concepts have been taught. It can also be a quick reference guide to help you to review or reteach key concepts after looking at assessment data and seeing where students need more practice or additional support.